Right, question for today. Are your habits serving you or enslaving you? I personally dealt with a drinking habit in the past and it strengthened over time. It became easy to justify, turned into a blind code, and I couldn't see how deeply it was controlling my life. And let's be honest, when you're blind, how can you see something? Even when others would tell me, I wasn't able to see it. Using the comparison code, I was normalizing this drinking habit. I failed to realize how harmful it was actually for my health and others around me. So beneath just this drinking habit was emotional suppression from my childhood. It was pain I was trying to avoid or wasn't aware of that was buried deep inside of me. This drinking just became an outlet, right? And we all have these trapped emotions inside of us, and these habits are always tied to something deeper inside of us waiting to be processed. So we need to understand that our unconscious habits drive your thoughts, drive your behaviors, and drive your emotions. So to truly free yourself, you must understand and address the root level of this habit. Right, so let's look at habits. So habits are like software applications. If you think about software applications, they are bundled together with a bunch of features. So understanding that our habits contain our behaviors, our thoughts, and our emotions. So think about it like this. They can only be activated by a certain trigger. So when you want to use an application, you trigger the application, you go to command it to open. So thinking about in a scenario where we trigger a habit within inside of us. So an example of a trigger would be you're speaking to someone and they say a particular thing, or you experience a certain situation which goes and triggers a thought, which is linked to an emotional folder, which is inside of you, which is holding these unprocessed emotions, these files that have been unprocessed, and you're just keeping them stuck. They could be childhood trauma, they could be events that you've just not processed, and you've just buried them in this emotional folder. So your thought will go and trigger that emotional folder. However, that emotional folder is blocked by a mind code. This mind code is called pain and avoidance script. This pain and avoidance script is a coping habit. It basically goes and triggers a coping habit like shopping, watching TV, drugs, alcohol, anything that goes and avoids dealing with that suppression file in the emotional folder. It's just linked with a coping habit. So every time and over time, these coping habits become addictions. They become addictive and your system struggles to operate without them after. And a very important thing to realize is you can replace a habit with another habit. However, without addressing the root cause of this habit and seeing where it's actually tied to in your emotional folder, you will most likely just replace it with another unhealthy habit, right? We give up one thing and then we start another thing. So to truly break free from these habits, at its core, you must identify and process the root of that emotional file, right? Creating this space for new habits and new healthier habits to come in. Addressing the ego in the room. Understanding that our ego by default runs these default programs, right? We are unconscious when they are running. It constantly tries to justify the behavior that you're doing via these blind codes, right? And these pain avoidance scripts. Deep down, you have your higher self within you saying, come on, this is not great. You have that voice coming in now and again, but your blind codes will always justify the habit and you'll just ignore, and it just becomes a repetitive thing. And the habit is literally just running by default after, right? Any stimulus that comes in, any trigger that comes in, and that code just runs and you're unconscious of the habit. You're not aware. People can see it, but you're unaware of it. So over time, you will be installing these scripts of justification, right? You'll be justifying these addictive behaviors and they'll just become normalized. And then you'll result in being in a state of delusion because you've justified so many things to yourself that you cannot see any other way. So until you stop lying to yourself, until you become ready to acknowledge these patterns, you will remain stuck in this unconscious compulsive loop, right? Until we pull ourselves out of it and see for what it is, you'll just be in this constant loop because your default ego program will constantly keep justifying these habits. To recognize this habit loop, because when you're in this habit loop, you can't see it. So you need to raise your awareness. Identify clearly when the trigger comes in, when the habit comes in, and when the justification comes in. Because you must be asking yourself these essential questions when this trigger is happening. Why am I really doing this? What is the deeper connection? What deeper emotion and trauma is this habit connected to? So these questions are auto-suggestion questions. Auto-suggestion works like a search function in your subconscious mind. When you ask the right questions, answers will emerge. Stay aware and conscious of what comes up and what pops up. But if you quickly dismiss anything that comes up, your subconscious mind will stop revealing any insights. Right? So you need to trust, be faithful, and trust what is coming up, because you've asked the question. You just need to stay conscious and aware of what's coming up. Trust what surfaces, and then deep introspection and reflection are the keys to uncovering these interconnected layers, because it's not just that one thing that pops up. It will be linked to other things, and you'll start to be able to peel back, right? So the actionable steps here would be to journal your insights immediately. As soon as they come in, write it down. Ask trusted family and your friends to call you out on your unconscious behaviors. You tell them that I want to become conscious of this habit, and ask them call you out when you're doing it, right? People that you trust that will call you out on your bullshit. Consciously interrupt the habit cycle, right? Catch yourself in the action. You see yourself doing the habit and you catch yourself. Okay, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? Identify the trigger and just go back and find out why am I here? What am I doing? What led to this in this moment in time, right? And then you'll be able to peel back and go back and identify. So gradually replacing these negative habits over time with beneficial habits one at a time, right? It takes time to replace these habits because they didn't become a habit in one day, right? They become a habit over time. So over time, we start uninstalling these habits. I don't know if anyone has said this before, but it makes so much sense to me. And it just ties in with everything, because we need to become our own technical support engineer, because our mind and body is hardware and software. So see your mind and body as the hardware and software, and take your position. Take your position outside, one level up, and see yourself as the technical support engineer, right? Observing the thoughts, observing the emotions, observing the behaviors. Like if you're using a computer system, you are the observer of the computer system. You're loading the programs, you're seeing what's the code, you're seeing what's coming up on the screen. So you become that for your mind and body. You take the technical support engineer point of view, and you're seeing what's installed. Why is he behaving like that? What are you doing? Why is that thought come in? You can take that next level in understanding how this mind and body is conditioned. So this vantage point, you will be able to spot autopilot behaviors, right? And you'll be able to consciously take back control of your computer system, of your mind and body. So reprogramming your operating system must be done first thing in the morning. Like when you boot up first thing in the morning, clearly set your intentions for the day, right? And before you shut down, reflect, scan for any emotional viruses, scan for any behaviors, any anomalies that have come in that you haven't processed. Because think about it, when you want to use your computer, turn it on. You boot it up first, all the code and all the operating system loads up. That is you waking up. And when you want to not use it anymore and you want to put the computer down to rest, you shut it down. But all the applications are shut down safely before you can go to sleep. So same with you. Process, reflect, shut down all the programs, and then go to sleep. Now, meditation. Meditation is misinterpreted, right? Many say that I can't stop thinking while I'm meditating. Let's change the angle. So stopping thoughts is like entirely impossible. It's like you chasing the wind. See meditation as an antivirus software, right? It's a tool to scan your thoughts, your emotions, your unsolved issues, bringing them to the surface for processing, right? When you're on a computer, you do the antivirus scan and it brings stuff to the surface going, this is an infection, deal with it, or your computer's going to be infected even more. That's what you do with your mind, body, and emotions, right? So use the meditation as a scanning software to bring stuff to the surface. The meditation will reveal subconscious folders, things that you haven't processed in a long time. It will come to your surfacing. Oh, you buried that 5-6 months ago. Oh, you buried that 10 years ago. Come to the surface. Why is this popping up? For tips on doing this meditation scan, eliminate sensory distractions. Do it in a dark room, silent and in comfort, right? And you must run this scan daily, right? Consistency, practice, 10 minutes, 15 minutes a day, right? The more you do it, the more stuff can come up. Because if you just do it one day and you don't do it for a few weeks and then you do it for another day and then you do it again for another month after, how is that consistency? How is stuff going to be even processed, right? So we must be doing it daily, running this scan, because things need to slowly start coming to the surface, because everything's interconnected. Everything's linked together. And when you're doing this meditation antivirus scan, keep a journal next to you, record your insights, write it down, reflect, so you have a place to process what is coming up, because you need to get it out of your head. and you need to get it down onto paper, because when you get it down onto paper, you can reflect, you can introspect, and then you can see puzzle pieces. Okay, that came in yesterday, this is coming today. Oh, that links to that maybe. And then you'll start uncovering more and more. And the more you can clear, the more you can move into a bliss state. Adopting new habits without overloading. Right, so when we're adopting new habits, we want to avoid overwhelming your system, right? Gradually integrating new beneficial habits takes time, right? You need to treat changes like software updates, right? If you have a mobile device, over time, software updates are released to your phone because it's tested and then it's seen if it's reliable and for stability. Same with us. We want to put a habit in, see if it's reliable, see its stability, does it work for me? And then you can add a new one, right? So adopting habits intentionally and gradually and consistently over time, right? Introducing one positive habit at a time well, people say 21 days to stabilize a habit. This software habit will take 21 days, let's say. And gradually, once you build this capacity to bring habits in, you build your energy. And when you build your energy, you can add additional habits in over time, which benefit you and help you grow over time. So the more and more beneficial habits you get, the more energy you build, and then the more things you can bring into your field. True freedom and detachment. True freedom and detachment. Practicing detachment by observing your experiences. Once we get this habit stuff underway and we're not accessing these emotional folders, we can practice true freedom and detachment. Practicing detachment is basically being the observer of the experiences, right? Without being emotional tangled with it, because you don't want to create emotional entanglement with the things you're doing, because that creates attachments and that creates addictions and that creates clinginess. So allow yourself to fully experience life without expectations. That's the best way to do it. This allows you to maintain balance and bliss. When you're finding your bliss point, you're no longer swinging out of balance. You are experiencing fully what you are experiencing, and then you let it go. So that is the true freedom of life, is bringing things in, experiencing everything in life, but not emotionally entangling yourself with everything. You allow yourself to stay centered. You allow yourself to be present in this moment and avoiding any clinginess, any resistance towards anything. Round this off, you have the power to uninstall your habits, to become the tech support engineer of your own system. Remember, don't judge yourself. Self-love is the first step. Then lead yourself with compassion and clarity. So my question to you is, which habit applications are you ready to uninstall today? Let me know in the comments down below. If this video resonates, please give it a like. Subscribe for more content like this, and I'll catch you in the next one. Soul Players, goodbye.